All right, here it is, the new podcast booth. And I'll tell you what, it's not finished.
No.
It's not ready. As you can see, the TV's not on yet. The thing's not even hooked up yet. But I'm so amped for 2020.
Yeah, me
and
too.
This new space, if you guys have been following along and saw some of the stuff on Golficity, on social and stuff like that, you see we've been incredibly excited about it. And it's inspiring me. It's inspiring me to do more, do a lot more with Golficity, bring you guys a lot more content. So we couldn't wait another minute. We're sitting in a room that still has a lot of work to do here. We're going to be working hard on it the rest of the day. Hopefully this space is in really good shape when we're done. But what better way, what better place to do our annual goals episode? I'm so excited for this one, Mike.
This is one of my favorite episodes of the year. Because then we get a chance in December to look back to see if we've hit these goals. And then again, a week later after that, we get to redo it again for the following year. So, it's good for accountability. And I love that we're doing it here. Dude, by the way, congrats. Only took 8 years to get here.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
We've been talking about office space since the minute we started Golficity back in 2012. So here we are, guys. And thanks for coming along for the ride.
Super exciting, as we said. And I can't wait to dive into this. And this year, we want to give you guys a little bit something more. So we're going to talk not only about our goals, and as Mike said, the accountability where we can go back. And just a couple episodes ago in December, we recounted some of our goals from 2019 to see if we had hit them. But we're going to talk about a lot of your goals. We've got our Twitter tap-in segment. We got some goals from there. We got goals from the Facebook group. But we did a little bit of back research. I wanted to say, not just put the goals out there, but find ways to make them happen. I think 2020 has got to be the years of making things happen, right? Definitely. I love 2020. I love the symmetry. 2020. Yeah. It's great. It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be a great year.
But what we did is we went through and I found about 8 or 9 tips that we can do and we can use. We're going to be employing them. And I think you guys can use them too, to really help accomplish those goals. Because at the end of the day, what is it if you don't accomplish it? Some of these goals, I thought about, you got to differentiate between what's a wish list item and what's a goal. And I feel like when it's a goal, it's something that you're setting with a plan and action that you can achieve. Maybe with some work. It's not a walk in the park. You've got to be able to work at it, but you can make it happen. So we're going to dive into that. We want to talk about our goals in a second. Funny, without even planning it, we both came up with four goals.
Just 4, yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting. But I wanted to be concise this year. So we're concise. We've got 4 goals. Before we do, of course, we want to thank our sponsors who are a big part of why we're able to do this week after week. So huge thank you to them. First, there you can see, there's your little segue, Mike's Titleist, which, by the way, I'm obsessed with that Yeti. When you put Yeti and Titleist together, it's my 2 favorite things. Guys, the new Pro V1 and Pro V1 X have been redesigned for more speed, more precision, and more consistency than ever before. When you compare the two, the Pro V1 has a slightly softer feel and a lower flight versus the Pro V1 X. The Pro V1 X is a higher flight, a little bit more spin, a little firmer feel. Again, what we learned in our ball fitting doesn't mean one is right for everybody. Right. The best thing you can do is that ball fitting. Learned a lot about the reasons why that height of the flight and things like that really matter. So you can check that video out on Golficity, on our YouTube channel, wherever. You can see why we dove into that. But both models, here's the good part, both models have that proven drop and stop greenside control, that lasting durability, and the unsurpassed quality. Plus, both are available in yellow. Quality for me has been a huge focus for it. I just know that every golf ball I take out is going to perform the same way. I think that is the kind of the hidden gem when it comes to golf balls, is that being able to know they're all going to perform the same way. And one's not manufactured slightly different than the other. When we went to the ball plant and we saw the checks and balances that went in, it was mind-blowing. So prove how good you can be. Tee up the new Pro V1 or Pro V1 X for your next round. All right, let's dive into our goals first. Okay. And I'm going to let you kick this one off. Kick off 2020 for us hard here, Mike.
All right, I'm going to just do this like this. There's 4 goals. I got 2 stats numbers type goals for my golf game. I got 1 mental goal, and then I got 1 fun goal.
Okay. All right. I like the fun goal.
So first we'll do the stats number. 50% fairways by September 1st. All right. I'm putting a date on it.
I like the date.
Because
deadlines. We're going to talk about deadlines.
And here's my thought. 38% was my number in 2019. 12% more jump. Think about it. It's not that much more of a difference, but here's what I have to do. Now I have to go back and figure out how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
What type of strategy am I going to have off the tee? So we're going to talk about that in a minute of how we're going to achieve.
And I think as with anything in golf, as you get better, it gets kind of harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think in the beginning you can kind of get some fundamentals down and knock off some goals pretty quick. But then when you start to fine tune the game, that's where I think the real nuances that's true. I think it's what makes the game the most interesting, but it also makes it very difficult.
Right, for sure. So there's a number I'm looking at. Of course, I'll grab that in the ShotScope dashboard. 39%. Listen to this number: 39% greens hit by September 1st again. So I'm really putting a lot of pressure to get it in by the end of the summer.
What is that? Just a lucky number? How'd you come up with 39? I need to know. I need to know.
Because this is what I did. I looked at a scorecard. If you hit 7 greens in an 18-hole round, it's 39%.
Okay.
All right.
Well thought out.
7 is not difficult. All right. I have to get that out of my head. 7 greens. Now, 39%. I'm sorry. 22% was my 2019 number. 22.
So it's a jump.
It's a jump, but that little type of jump, for me, it feels like a little jump. I'm not saying to go to 50% like fairways. 22 to 39. I think that's maybe 3 more greens I need to hit per round, if I do the math correctly in my head. So that small goal for me is going to lead to a huge score improvement.
No doubt.
Hitting 3 extra greens could be the difference of 4 to 5 strokes, just like that.
Easy. We always say greens in regulation is the number one indicator of how you're going to score.
100%.
You've got to give yourself the opportunity to score.
Yes.
So by being there.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep myself accountable. Like I said, with the ShotScope dashboard, just keep checking back at that, make sure I'm on target. And if I'm not, then I'm going to go work on it.
Okay. All right. Plus, I mean, there's adaptations you can do while you're out there if you're aware of it and you're seeing you may be tracking your greens in regulation, and you can say like, let's say you're at 6 and you've got a couple more holes and you got to hit one more. I think it forces you into more strategic thinking, which is something we're going to dive into deep on the podcast. Right. We've got some really incredible guests coming up in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about things like that, like strategy, like ways to attack the golf course in a smart way.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one is I want to win 2 majors this year. I'm just kidding. Mental side. Okay, here we go. This is interesting. I want to try and find a clearer mind on the golf course. We do a lot for golf this year.
Yeah, which is never easy when you're running a couple cameras around.
We have all the camera equipment, but I still feel like I can overcome that. I feel like there's got to be a way I can either train myself, teach myself, learn, whether it's through meditation or something, that I can just kind of block everything out when I address the ball.
Yeah.
What happens before that? Great.
I like it.
I turn the camera on, great. But then when I address the ball, there should just be some type of zone I want to go into. And then after the shot, maybe I go back out of that zone for a second. I want to be able to go in and out of the zone. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I think ultimately that is the key to success in that, because golf is a game that's played over such a long time. Think about 18 holes usually takes us about 4 hours. To stay in the zone for 4 hours is not easy, especially when you're doing what we do, which is running around and trying to also create great content.
100%.
But I like that. And maybe something with the pre-shot routine, you can use some sort of trigger.
There you go. That's it right there. And you know what made me think of this one?
What?
I was watching back at the Baltus Row vlog, just went through final edit, and it's amazing. It's coming out
Can't wait
soon.
to drop that.
Playing with Greg Angelillo and watching him. Throughout this video, you'll see Greg is going in and out of his zone by telling us stories.
Right.
He's not focused on his golf game while he's telling us stories about Baltus Row in the past and the PGA and Jimmy Walker and Jack Nicklaus, the whole round.
Yeah.
But when he gets over that ball, he's right back in the zone. And I watch it and I'm like, man, I'm jealous of that.
You see it too in his conversations with his caddy. When it's like there could be, and you see this on the PGA Tour, there could be cameras and people around, and then it's like it's just the two of them right there.
Exactly.
And that's the real key is zoning in for sure.
100%.
I like that. Yeah.
And then the last one's my fun one. I want 3 birdies in a single round. I've had 2 in a round like 4 or 5 times. I just, it's just something personal goal.
I think you can definitely make 100%. That happen.
I've had the opportunity many times.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've stood over birdie 5, 6 times in a round and ended up with par. So
what does that tell me? Putting.
Exactly. So
putting should be a big focus.
But you'll notice I didn't put any specific goal on putting, which is something I was toying back and forth because it is such an important part. And I know people always doing the YouTube videos and getting all the comments. There's a lot of you out there who actually get to see our golf game from a distance. So we see a lot of people commenting saying, Frank, you got to work on putting. And you know that. The way that you hit the ball.
And I worked hard on it in 2019.
Exactly. So, putting is something that it's just like a bonus goal for me. Maybe it's just a small goal that I just try to stay consistent with it at home, just keeping the feel.
That's it. I mean, look, and like you said, you're going to hit that goal if you can putt better, because it's not like you're saying, when the birdie happens, it's so rare. I mean, you're saying you have opportunities, you're standing over it. Yeah. So it's that you're there, you're presenting yourself with the opportunity, you're on the green, you just have to close the deal.
Right. And the first 2 goals, fairways and greens hit, if I accomplish those goals, I'm definitely going to accomplish the 3 birdies in a round.
Right.
But notice how I didn't come in here saying, I want to break 80 or I want to do this. Just I wanted to work on those because if I accomplish those, then those will happen. I'm
100%. Yeah. So, we're going to talk about this too in a minute. Big, little goals leading to achieving big goals.
Yeah. 100%. Sure. So there's my goals. Of course, I didn't put this in there because I think it would be unfair because I'm always going to do this anyway. Just staying in shape throughout the year because that's the most important thing in life. Staying healthy and in shape. So
yeah, no doubt about it.
What about you, Frank?
All right. So my goals, I decided that I really want to focus on scoring, even though I know this may sound a little contradictory because you hear me talking about scoring not being the most important thing. To me, the most important thing is always going to be to have fun.
Yeah.
If I had fun out there, I really, truly, I mean, some people might not believe this, but I truly do not care what's on that scorecard if I had a good time. And I don't understand. Some people will say, well, one kind of leads to the other. And that's why we do talk about instruction here because we want people to be able to play well enough that they can have a good time and not be frustrated. But it really comes down to having fun. That said, I know I'm knocking at the door of being able to score better. And I think a big part of that is going to be just small tweaks. I don't think I need to make big, dramatic changes to get there. So I set some specific goals that will hopefully lead me there that are not out of reach. They're reachable, but they're enough to push me. And truth be told, one comment I see all the time, especially on YouTube, and it's kind of funny. It's like a backhanded compliment.
You're going to take the words out of my mouth. That you're better than you are.
Yeah. Where people are like, Frank can't be a 12 handicap. He's got a good swing, which makes me incredibly happy because if you're a golfer, if someone tells you that you have a nice looking swing, you're like, you're floating on cloud 9 because I loved it. But the truth is, it is true. Like there's certain aspects of my game that are just holding me back from scoring. So the first thing that I want to do is I love your number 39, but I also know there's averages that come into play here. So I want to get 35% of greens in regulation. I also went with greens in regulation because I'm also very aware of how important that is for scoring. So again, the big focus being on scoring in 2020, that's part of it. So I went with 35%. I looked back through my numbers. In 2018, I was at 23%. This is not goals. This is my actual what I achieved, all tracked obviously by Shot Scope. So it makes it so that I'm able to have that tracking. 23% in 18, 27% in 2019. Mm-hmm. So that was an increase of 4%. I'm looking for a bigger increase here, obviously 8%, but I think I can make it happen with some of the different things that we're going to talk about here on the show with strategy and stuff like that. So I'd love to achieve a 35% greens in regulation. Another thing I want to do is I want to get down to less than 10% 3-putts.
Yeah.
Looking at my Shot Scope data, I see that I was at 14% in 2019, which is an improvement. And I think a big part of that has been the work we did with Sprecher, where I was working on that putting stroke. And what he had said was, as we take some of this variability out of your putting stroke and tighten things up, one area where you're going to see improvement is that on the pace of the longer putts.
Right.
And I think that is a big part of where I end up with 3-putts. I longer putts, not getting them close, but also having more first putt distance that's longer because things like struggling with my chipping game and around the green. So again, going back to where, I feel like my swing is in pretty good shape, but what maybe you don't see in the videos is the opportunity sometimes I lose on bad chips or bad green side, bunker shots, whatever. So by getting that proximity a little bit closer will help lead to this. But I'm really going to focus on dropping that 3-putt to sub 10. I want a single-digit percentage of 3-putts because I just know they're still going to be there.
Right.
We play some incredibly challenging golf courses. There's some that we play that are just lightning quick. As I go back and watching, even in that Baltusrol, you see how many, it looked like if you watch the video with no context, it looks like we're the worst putters.
Uh-huh.
But if you realize how many like just subtle sliders and speed
just blew by
the hole, or you just like dive off. I mean, these are golf courses where they play the US Open. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be some challenge there. So I know I'm not going to eliminate it, but I want to make sure I improve it.
Well, I always said, and I always say this now, I said, if you, and this is me saying to other people, I said, if Frank ever learns how to putt or improves it, that, watch out.
And that's what I'm working on.
Watch out, because yes, you are going to be a force out there. I mean, you're going to be beating your father consistently.
I don't know, man. He went to Sprek and got a lesson yesterday.
Oh, did he like it?
Now,
Okay, I got to hear about that.
Now,
later.
I don't know.
So now we got to.
I called Sprek too, and I'm like, listen, don't make it too good. I mean, he's almost twice my age, and he just keeps beating me.
Yeah, we're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you past him. But it is the putting, man. You got to get it, because you're crushing that TS, dude, like crazy.
The TS was one of the biggest improvements to my game because it was so forgiving.
Right, and
shows you what fitted equipment will do.
Yeah, exactly. And how many times, I can't even count how many times this summer I've seen you stick a 7 and 8 iron at 5 feet. I'm thinking of Sagamore and all these other places. You just were lights out from the approach. So you get to that part of your game, you tighten it up.
We'll get there. We will get there. The other one I have, again, with a focus on scoring, I looked through my stats and I looked at what are the stats that are going to help me score. Putting still, big part of that. I want to target less than 30 putts per round on average.
I like it.
All right. So I was 32.6%. I'm sorry, 32.6 average putts per round in 2019. And where that lands me on the Golficity Shot Scope leaderboard, want to guess?
Way down.
Pretty far.
Yeah.
190th place.
Yeah.
Out of, I think right now we've got a little over 300 people on the Golficity Shot Scope leaderboard.
Love it.
But it serves as a measuring stick, that leaderboard, for me to a certain extent of where I should be. And I look at some of the other golfers who are the way they're scoring well. But I think if I can get to less than 30 putts per round average, that'll also lead to it. And then all of that is going to be towards my bigger goal. Again, a bit of a stretch, but I want 2020 to be the year I go single digit handicap. And I'm at 11.3 right now. And I think that the caveat to this is that I've got to achieve those goals above, the goals 1 through 3, to reach goal 4.
100%.
I think that's what's got to have to happen. And the other thing too is not making excuses, just being fully disclosure. We don't get to post enough rounds often. There's a lot of times when we're out there and we're filming content and we're doing things where it's not necessarily, we've got so much other stuff going on. We're trying to film the experience and things like that we don't get to really play a postable round. There are times when, honestly, be straightforward with you guys, we don't finish 18 holes. Yeah. It just happens. There's time constraints. We've got certain access to the golf course during certain times. So we're out there playing, but it's not like it's a score we can post. Or we'll do some of the fun challenge videos, best ball, worst ball, whatever. So we're out there playing golf, but we're not playing in a way that it's like I'm generating an 18-hole score that I can post.
Yeah, I agree.
So I want to be able to do a little bit more of that and post some scores. I'm hoping to post some scores when we get down to Orlando in January.
Can we, though?
You can. You can even post 9-hole.
Can you do it this early in the year?
I believe
out of state, out of Florida.
I believe so. If it's out, I think so.
All right.
I mean, if you're playing regulation, I would think you'd be able to. I mean, it's
because there's a Florida handicapping system. There's aren't there different systems?
We need
for the year rounds. I mean, I don't know. Someone let us know that.
Post it in the comments.
Yes.
Let us know all the information on that. All right. So, what do you say we let's quickly dive into the listener goals, and as part of that, our this week's Twitter tap in. So, as you guys know, this is a new segment that we've recently kicked off. Make sure you follow Golficity on Twitter. Every week we are going to post the Twitter tap-in, which is going to be some sort of question to help get you guys involved in the conversation. So appropriately, what we said this week was, what is the biggest goal for your golf game in 2020? And here's the most important part of that question. How do you plan to accomplish it? We added that because I saw pretty much every golf social media account on earth was posting, what are your golf goals for 2020? I wanted to hear how you're going to make them happen. And we're going to talk about how you guys can make them happen in a minute when we dive into some of these tips that we have for achieving your goals. But I want to just highlight a couple of them. And some of them require no further explanation of how you're going to make them happen. Like Keith Cook said, I want to walk more rounds and by way of and also through getting healthier. And he said there's no greater goal, which is like goes back to what you had said, which is true. Staying, what do you call it? I love the guys from the Pin High Pod. Yeah, they shoot their shot here. We're just saying, check out our podcast on Wednesday for the answers. I love it, guys. I love the promotion. These guys dig. They know how to get people to tune in. And I've been really enjoying their show. Yeah. I mean, this is something we didn't say, but we have also some of our own goals for the company and for Golficity. And one is to continue to grow that content by putting out more fun stuff that we like to hear. And one of it has been the Pin High podcast. I think those guys are doing well.
Yeah, they are.
They really
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. You've got some Facebook ones too from the Facebook group,
I
right?
just, I want to just give some love here. Nick Lee, spending more time on the course with my friends.
Dude, I love these
Tennessee
goals.
from Colorado. Yeah. Isn't that great?
I mean, that's just it. Like, it all comes down to having fun. None of us are going out there and making the PGA Tour right now.
Right.
So if you can have more fun, you're doing the right thing.
Right. I'm getting a lot of, Chester says sub 15 handicap. Brian Donald get down to a 6 from a 9. So, specific there. And then I got another. I'll do 2 more here and then fire it over back to you. But Dan Hogan, he wants to break 90 consistently, not just once. He just wants to keep doing it. I love that. And he says, be more accurate off the tee and with my shots into the greens. And then we got this last one here. I'll shout is Casey Wacker. By the way, Casey, I want to give you a shout out real quick here on the show because, we're going down to Florida in 2 weeks, and Casey is the superintendent, I guess, of the grounds. Right? I don't even know if you're superintendent. He's on the grounds crew there.
We'll get his exact. We're gonna get his exact when we meet him in person.
And he hooked us up with a round at Reunion that we're going to film and bring to you guys. So, Casey, thank you.
He's also very active in the Facebook group. And I think great information. If anybody is playing down there and you want to know a little bit more about Reunion, there's some terrific courses. Just tag him because he's got the info.
Love it.
Yeah.
What do you got, Frank, on Twitter?
This one I really liked. Tyler Florio on Twitter says, want to be more consistent with my driver. I plan to use the TrackMan simulator at my work to grind it out. There's a lot that I like about this. First, he's using the resources he has. So he must work at a golf shop or instruction or something like that where he has access to that. And we've talked about this before, how things like TrackMan are incredibly expensive, but they're becoming more and more accessible because we see them in so many places, whether it be just spending the time for a half hour in a simulator or whatever. There's ways you can do it. But what he says here is right, grinding it out. So many of us say, I want to be better with my driver, but you're not willing to really put the work, or you're willing to, but you just don't quite pull the trigger to put the work in. Grinding it out is a great way to explain it. It takes that time. You've got to really work on it. And working on it with the simulators or with the TrackMan is great because you can really see the nuances of what's happening with the spin dynamics and launch and things like that. But even if you don't have access to that, just getting out to the driving range, I think a big thing that gives us a false sense of security when it comes to our driving is just kind of letting it fly. If you can do something as simple as just picking some targets while you're out there and using that, it's going to force you to have that pressure to become a better better off the tee, and that's going to work. Our recent episode we did with the guys from Game Like Training, if you didn't listen to that, go back and check it out because they talk about that. And there's a few things that you can initiate with their tips that will help you get more out of those sessions. So I really like that.
Dude, we're working with those guys 2 weeks from today. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too because those guys are really onto something. They really are. Jamie Bavis says to break 80 by playing and practicing in a more meaningful way, better course management, dialing in distances, and working on more consistent ball striking. Smart way to put it. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to continue to talk about more course management. I like this, understanding his distance. It's just gaining a better understanding of your game and the game in general is what really leads to. We always say this when we play with really good golfers, we just see that there's nothing, it seems. Sure, you play with some guys who hit some big golf balls, whatever. But there's nothing with some of these guys who are just incredible golfers. There's nothing that's flashy about the way they play, and yet they're just out there just winning. A great example is again going back to Greg. You just look at it, and he's just the way he's just approaching it. There's nothing that stand out. Sure, I mean it's great seeing him bomb those 300-yard drives, but swing wise and approach wise, it just he makes it work. Let's see if we can pick one more before we get into some of our other stuff here. Let's see.
I like this one. Jamie Broughton. This is something you and I can appreciate, Frank. He posts a photo of his probably 4 or 5-year-old daughter with her golf clubs, and he writes to play 9 holes with her.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That hits home for us too. We both have daughters, and Eric Benzenberg, our buddy Eric, he goes, I want to hit more Gary Woodland stingers.
Love
and
it.
He shows a video of him. Yeah, everybody would love to hit that stinger. So really great stuff. Thank you for everybody who joined the conversation either on the Twitter tap-in or in the Facebook group.
So many here. I wish I can read them all.
But look, that's another reason. Check out the group to see them, and that's the best part about it. We have a real conversation because other people are diving in and talking about them. If you guys aren't already part of the Facebook group, you're definitely going to want to jump in there and check that out. But let's get into the action part here. I want to talk about different things and ways that you can achieve those goals. We saw some similarities in the goals here. A lot of people have similar goals. Maybe you have some similar goals to us or some of the ones that we read here. I'm sure there's a lot more out there. But the plan of attack to make it happen is what's going to be important. So, Mike, let's do a quick word from our sponsor, and I want to dive into that.
I love it. All right, guys. So the ShotScope V2, it's the world's smartest golf watch. ShotScope has over 40,000 courses mapped. It's an incredible stat tracking technology. We're excited to be using it again this season. It's just, we talked about goals, and we talked about those numbers, and we wouldn't get those numbers without the ShotScope.
I almost don't know how I would do it without something
I don't.
that. I mean, sure, you can write down pen and paper, but I feel like that's one of the things that takes me out of my game. Yeah. I like that it's on my wrist and it's just taking care of it. And then I can, when I did my goals, I just opened up my ShotScope dashboard and just sat there on my couch and just looked at it and saw what I could do.
It's so good. And that was like 5 years ago. We were writing down on the scorecard like how many greens hit and everything like that.
Mark.
It's great. So, of course, on top of the stats, it gives you that laser-like GPS. We've tested it with rangefinders, like the best rangefinders out there, and it's easily one of the most accurate GPS watches that we've ever used. All the data of your golf game is at your fingertips. It's right on a dashboard, on your computer, on your phone. You just download the round right after you play, and everything just loads right up there. So do yourself a favor, get a ShotScope V2. Visit shotscope.com/Golficity, and you can use the code V2 Golficity at checkout. Guys, do yourself the favor and grab one.
Yeah, at the moment, they still got that festive offer. $119.
Right?
You can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
Also want to thank FootJoy, guys. Over the course of a round, you face a variety of different weather conditions, whether it be that early morning frost, the midday sun, the afternoon showers. We're seeing it right now. We've got unseasonably warm weather. For January, it's getting up to 50, but it's always starting in the 20s in the morning. So layering, it becomes so important. And FootJoy offers performance products that are made specifically for golf that allow you to play comfortably and play well, no matter how those climate conditions change. I talked about this before. Comfort and playing well, that's the real key. I mean, I could be comfortable out there in a bubble jacket, like George Costanza, right? Gore-Tex, right? But it doesn't mean I can swing a golf club. They managed to use technology to make so you can have that warmth, you can have that protection from the wind, from the rain, but also still be able to swing a golf club, which is so important. So you got
this stuff just looks fresh.
It looks terrific.
I mean
that's all you need to know. So you got the base layers, you got the thermal mid layers, you got the full zip fleece jackets, rain jackets. Pretty much anything you could possibly imagine for any weather condition is going to be there. So layer properly, you'll be able to adapt quickly. And this goes back to like your goal, keep your head in the game. Because another thing that'll take your head out of the game is when you're not comfortable.
Yes.
So if you're comfortable, 100%. You can focus more on your golf game. So you can build your own layering system to combat any weather condition by going to footjoy.com/MEDP. Make every day playable. And they mean it. So check that out.
Speaking of that, before we move on, I got to show you this because Title has just put out a new Aloha hat, but it's different.
Is it different? I thought it was the same one I have.
You have the You have the print.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just under the
dude,
brand.
I jumped on that. Are you kidding me? Last year.
All right. I thought this one was different.
No, man. Listen.
Okay.
I was thinking about wearing it today. Listen, don't dive into my most favorite all-time hat and not think. I picked that up last year. It was limited. I still remember it was during the Hawaii swing because Hawaii swing is like my thing.
It's great. Yeah.
I love it. Primetime golf. It's gorgeous. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. Never made it. I'm going to make it someday. I just try to put myself in that mental space. So when I saw that hat come out, I quickly bought it. It was limited edition. It was sold out like so quickly after that. I wore it to the PGA show and I remember everyone was commenting on it like, where'd you get it? Because it just sold out like that. So when I saw that it came back out again, I broke mine out. And
I'm going to buy it while we're talking.
Again. What?
I'm going to buy it while we're talking.
Okay. Just don't wear it when I wear mine, man. All right. So let's dive into some of these different ways to achieve your goals. And like I said, I looked at a couple of different resources for this. I saw there was a number of lists out there. I checked out Forbes had a great list. Mindtools.com, Inc.com had these great lists. And what I did is I was like, let me just kind of distill it down to what I feel like are the best ones and put a couple of my own in there too. And we'll talk about how they can work for you, from a golf standpoint. But the other thing is these will work for you in all areas of your life. Any goal setting. I think a big thing that people set goals now is for, as you said, fitness.
Yep.
I think for golf, it's not just strength, it's really flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Being able to, we talked about this with Sprecher, rotation, right?
So
and you can't rotate if you're not flexible. I showed him something in my swing the other day where just when I got to about here in the swing, my body started lifting up, and I'm like, why am I doing that? And he's like, because you got to a point where the momentum is continuing to carry the club back, but you couldn't rotate anymore. You ran out of flexibility. So the body has nowhere to go but start to go up.
Yep.
So he goes, if you can work on that flexibility there, and we're going to be doing something with him really soon, with him and Ben Shear, who is just like the guru of golf fitness. We're going to be doing something where Kevin's going to take a look at our swing and where our limitations are. And then we're going to work with Ben to see how we can improve upon that.
How cool is that?
That is so cool. From a flexibility and strength standpoint.
Yeah.
So these are in no particular order, but all different things that I thought would be really helpful. The first thing, we talked about this before, is use small goals to achieve big goals. There's two things to that. One, if you just set a big goal, like I want to be a single digit handicap, often that can be a little bit, it's a little bit too vast, a little bit too far reaching, and you can kind of forget about it. It's like we see this too, sometimes with New Year's resolutions. A lot of people New Year's resolutions, I want to lose weight, I want to eat healthy, but they're kind of vague, they're ill-defined, and they're easy to lose track of, or they're easy to not create a plan of action for. But by doing these smaller goals, smaller goals are usually better defined, they're more reachable, but they become almost these stepping stones. So you can use them as celebration. When you hit a small goal, you celebrate it. It creates that motivation. Motivation is a big part of reaching your goals. Yeah. So by setting those, so if you have a goal in mind, maybe look at it, try to bullet point under it. What are a couple of small goals that I can set that will help me to achieve this? And I tried to do that with mine, where I said, even though I don't consider greens regulation a small goal, I might be able to dissect that further and be like, how am I going to reach that? But I know that those will lead to my bigger goal of lowering my handicap.
Yeah, I love that. I mean,
so small goals to reach big goals.
Exactly. And my biggest thing with that for me, and how I relate it to, is the dieting. And people always say, at this time of year, I always like to just start that January fresh start with my diet. Yeah. And that doesn't mean because I want to lose weight. I always say I'm on a diet. Everyone's like, well, why? You're not 300, 400, 500 pounds. What are you thinking? And for me, the weight is just secondary. When I do this particular diet program that I do, it gets me so healthy that I feel excellent. I never get a cold. I never get sick. I have so much energy. I get up earlier easily, all things like that. And then, oh, by the way, I lost weight and I'm more flexible and I'm going, that's just a secondary. So, to me, that's set a small goal, try to eat healthy just to feel better. And then all these other things are going to happen.
For sure.
As a result.
For sure. Those small goals can be so key. Also, set a clear measurement for success. That's another thing. Like we said, I want to eat healthy. Well, what does that mean? How do you quantify eating healthy? You want to be able to really set that. And that way you can really know if you've achieved that goal. Because another thing worse than you don't even know. We look back, as you said, in December every year, we go back and look at this episode and we say, did we hit those goals? Well, if it was not really quantifiable, we wouldn't really be able to say, I think I hit that goal. Here's where, in our case, for golfers, we're using very specific, target stats and things like that. But even if it was something like, let's say it was flexibility, you could say, okay, this is my range of motion now, and this is where I want it to be. And then that you have a quantifiable thing to achieve. And that really does help. Yep. And that's part of another one. This kind of stands alone. I loved this. I think it's an acronym. It's an acronym, right? So I love this acronym. They say your goals should be SMART. So this is the third point. SMART meaning they should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. If your goals are all those things, it's going to be something that is not only, it's going to make you better at whatever you're doing, but it's going to be something that you have a much higher percentage chance of achieving that goal.
So for me, 50% fairways hit by September 1st. Specific, 50%. Measurable, I can measure it on the app.
Yep.
Attainable, I think I can do it.
Right.
Relevant, that's important. I mean, it's going to lead to a lot of good scoring.
Right.
And I put that September 1 on it.
Time bound. You checked all the boxes.
That's a smart one.
You checked them. You're good. So that's an important one as well. So make sure that's a good way, just like kind of a litmus test. If you just see like, are my goals SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Also, this kind of goes back to what we were saying before with measurement. Often goals are too broad and not well defined, which sets you up for failure. So a big example, as I said before, New Year's resolutions. The biggest New Year's resolutions every year are to exercise, lose weight, and eat better. All of them are vague.
Yeah.
Right. So I think whether it be with eating, you can be more specific. I want to cut out sugar, or I want to consume X amount of calories. Yeah. It's more specific. It's more specific. And then you're able to say it, because otherwise when it becomes too subjective, you're like, well, I guess that chicken wing was better than that slice of pizza, but was it? Like, I don't know, so that's where it can be like an important one.
How do we get healthy at Jersey Mike's? Can we?
I know. I got to get that mini, but you're going to kill me.
Yeah. The mini sub.
The mini sub.
My daughter eats the mini sub.
He goes, my daughter eats that and she's still hungry when she's done. I'm like, Mike, I'm trying to eat less here. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was a tough one. All
right.
Somebody had mentioned too that they were putting in a Jersey Mike's right by the PGA store in Paramus.
It's there. It's up and running.
And we said we wanted to put our office right between the two, but we would never get any work done.
No.
So, all right. Another thing is find creative ways to keep yourself accountable. Accountability can be really important. So one thing, the easiest way to do it is just to first document your goals by writing them down. Because a lot of people say like, this is let's say I'm talking about New Year's resolution because we're here January 3rd or right around that time. People will say them, but if you don't write them down, there's a chance you'll forget. You're not going to really hold yourself accountable. But another thing you can do is tell others about your goals and ask them to hold you accountable. I think that's an important one. You've even said yourself, you've had more success turn the corner with exercise when you started working in a gym with trainer.
Correct.
Because you feel like both the trainer and the other gym members and also some of the stuff that they do there hold you accountable, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the combination of like the friends you meet at the gym and it's the buddy who says, hey, Mike, you want to take the class tonight? And I'm sitting there going, I'm exhausted. I'm sitting on the couch with my kids and they're like, come on, let's go. So there's motivation from the people at the gym. Yeah. There's motivation from the trainer because he's texting me like, hey, get your you-know-what to the gym tonight. Let's go. And then when you get there, you're motivated while you're there. So if for me to just sit at home in the living room and try to do it myself, it's just, for me, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And accountability, it's funny to set goals. Nina, my wife, last night she says to me, she goes, all in the same conversation. She said, one of her goals this year is just to start losing weight and getting back in the gym and working out. But she was like, I'm just so exhausted after work to go to that 5 p.m. class on the way home. Who's going to get the kid? I'm like, don't worry. I was like, just go do it. She's like, well, what's going to motivate me to get there? Rewind about an hour before that, she mentioned to me how awesome I sent her for a massage for Christmas. It was her gift.
Okay.
And she's like, it was so amazing. I want to do that once a month. And you know how expensive those are, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll tell you what, if you go to 8 gym classes a month, which is her package, if you max out your package every month and you could treat yourself to a massage every month.
Yeah.
And she was like, amazing. And I had to be like, there's a little motivation.
Right.
There.
Motivation.
So, it's same with golf. I think you could pick the goal. And, maybe it's treat yourself to that $150 round at the course you've been dying to play.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? Something's got to be there for you.
Yeah, because like you said, also that small goals, big goals. When you have those milestones along the way, like for her, it's like a massage every month, right? Yeah. So throughout the year, the goal is the big year. But then as you have those milestones and you check them off throughout the year and you feel that little bit of success, that's what keeps you going.
Exactly.
So I love that.
Exactly.
Another thing you can do too is post your goals in our Facebook group.
Yep.
I like that idea just because it does get accountable. Even if it's for no other reason than you're just putting it out there into the universe for others to see, I'm telling you, it will make a difference for you because you're going to feel like, all right, other people saw this. I need to be held accountable. And plus, when we do our recap in December, you can go back and look at your post and look at what some of the goals that you posted there. Plus, the thing I really love, and I put out something over the new year. I put out a message in the group and I just wanted to thank everybody in that group for making that group what it is. Yeah. It's not us that made that group. Sure, we physically created the group, but it's not us that made the culture in there. It's you guys. And it's been such a great supportive group. When you have the internet nowadays, there's so many different places where it can get negative. The positivity in there, I commend all of you out there who've created that and kind of monitored it that way, but not letting any negativity seep in. it creates a place that's a little bit more welcoming for people to post their goals. So I'd say that's a great way to do it. Post your goal in there and that'll really help. Another thing you can do is have an action plan and be specific. I like action plans. I talked about this, even with golf before, where I've said for every single shot you take, there is both a goal, so to speak, in what you want to do. And then there's the strategy, the execution. Like the strategy and execution is the way I talk about it, but switching those different modes. But you have a goal. What do I want to do here? And then you have to have some sort of strategy. So once you set your goal, what you've done really there is defining the problem. A lot of things you hear this often, like a big part of solving a problem is first getting the question right, So you got to define that problem, but then now the next step is to come up with an action plan to achieve it. So be specific here too. Write it down. Be accountable to your action plan. Say like what it is. And that's why we asked it in the Twitter tap in. And like, what are you going to do to get there? So it may be like, okay, my goal is to hit more greens in regulation. So I'm going to work on these areas. I noticed that, and with ShotScope, I'm able to tell which clubs I'm hitting less greens in regulation with. I can look at that. I can say, is it part of my planning, my strategy, whatever it may be. I can put a plan into effect to set myself up to hit that goal more. So whatever goal it is, there's got to be steps to get there. And if you can jot them down in some way, it's going to help.
Case in point is this office space right here.
Big time.
Because we mapped out our goal. Yep. We contacted contractors and painters and electricians and everything. And we set a realistic goal, which is to your next point of setting a target date to reach this goal, to be in here by Jan 1. It's January 3rd and we're recording here.
Yep.
So it wouldn't have come together like this if we didn't have this action plan, the furniture we needed, the trips we needed to take over here, the people we had to call, all that stuff. So tell you what, I mean, that shows you that if you do create a plan and you do set a target date, and the target date helps even that much more.
Yeah. One thing, a tool we use, I mean, if it helps anybody, then use it too. We use Trello boards a lot. Awesome. Because what we'll do is we'll have one whole column is that day. And we'll say, these are all the things that we need to accomplish that day.
You got to see our Trello board for Orlando.
Oh my God. You don't want to see it. You don't want to see it.
It's like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
My wife's like, you're going to go through that week without sleeping again? I'm like, probably.
Yep.
All right. So the other thing we have here, let's run through a couple more. One is set a target date for each goal. We talked about this before. Both your big and your small goals should each have a target date. Goals without target dates, they're really just open doors for procrastination. I'll get to it. I'll whatever. So you really want to set that. I like the idea of having the yearly goals, the 2020, with the target date being accomplishing it by December 31st of the year. However, there's also smaller things. I liked yours. You had some target dates September.
I bumped it up.
Things like that. And I think once you start to look in and dive in deeper to your goals and your sub goals to get there, setting target dates.
Yes.
So maybe I want to have 4 range sessions focusing on just my driver and have that accomplished by March 28th, whatever. Perfect. I'm just throwing it out there. Different things. It can be really important. Another thing is making sure your goals are realistic. A big thing that'll set yourself up for failure are completely unrealistic goals. So reach goals, they're great. Reach goals are ones that push you a little bit harder, but reach is the key word here. You want to still be able to reach them. If you set goals that are too far out of reach, it can be discouraging. And once you get discouraged, it causes you to quit. I liked an example of a stretch goal and an example of goals in general. I think that our buddy Eddie D'Attusa did an incredible job last year with his Duffs to Darts program. Really, and if you guys haven't watched that, go back on Golficity, search Duffs to Darts in the app or on the website, and go through and see, because he did monthly updates, which also, it was great for accountability.
Yep.
But what I liked is he had a reach goal of very much lowering his handicap pretty dramatically, but it was still reachable. It wasn't so far. He wasn't saying I'm a 25 now and I want to be scratched by the end of the year. Right. So he's still setting a reachable goal, but then he had an action plan. He had everything we're talking about here. He, just like most of us, he's an incredibly busy guy. He's got kids, he's got a job. He found ways to practice during his lunch break, where he went out in right outside of his office and was working on things like chipping and stuff like that. So there are ways. It proved to me that there are ways to get it done. He had the accountability. He had a lot of stuff in there. So that was a great example, and well done, Eddie, on that one.
And the fact that he physically, the accountability of putting the videos together to document it. I mean, anyone can say they want to try to improve and then just maybe write it down on the side. But he went to this full production, which made him even more involved and passionate about it. So I love it.
And any one of you can document like that.
Yeah.
You would be surprised what kind of accountability and what it does for you just to put it out there. Anybody now can grab your phone, whatever you got, chances are you've got a camera in your phone and you can record yourself. You can post it on Twitter, on Facebook. You can post it anywhere. Case in point, a lot of people ask us about our content and they want to do similar types of videos like we do with the course vlogs. And I love it because I want everyone to be out there sharing their experiences on the golf course. Mm-hmm. Case in point, we recently did that Baltusrol vlog. We filmed the entire thing on iPhone. Mm-hmm. Because we had our own limitations of what kind of equipment we could bring into a course, a facility of that caliber. They don't want it to interfere with anything. So we said, fine, we'll do the whole thing on iPhone. So it just proved that you can do it.
That's true, yes.
So that's important. A good way to test to see if your goal is realistic is to look at your action plan. We talked about that action plan.
Right.
And to see if the plan is something you can manage. So here too, I have seen people make incredible jumps in their golf ability. I've seen people go from 15 handicap to scratch in one season. However, ask them about the work they put in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm talking about people who would spend 2 to 3 hours a day on the golf course every single day.
Yeah, it's a commitment.
So if you look at that and say, is that something I can commit to with the other things? And if it's not, then you realize your goal is not realistic.
Right.
But that's not to stay outside of being creative, like I said, like Eddie was, and finding other ways to practice. But look at your action plan. Say, can I do these things? Same with dieting. Some people want to set like a huge weight loss goal and then be realistic and be like, can I really cut my calories by that much per week?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Be realistic. And that's a part of it. Like a big thing would be dropping your handicap. Just make sure that your action plan and your small goals are reachable, and that'll tell you if the big goal is reachable. And if it's not reachable, maybe tweak it just a little bit.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yep. That's an important one. The last thing I would say here is make goal setting an ongoing thing so it becomes a habit.
There you go.
We hear this a lot. Like when you, as human beings, you do things often, they become habits. I like this. A lot of times, we just set these one goals, whatever, but it's become a habit for us even. This is our 3rd year doing a goals segment. Mm-hmm. It becomes something that we do. But just in general, like once you hit one goal, just immediately set another one for yourself. And that way you'll just stay on that treadmill, being in a rhythm of setting goals, setting proper goals the right way, the way we're talking about here, and then taking that and just setting the next, just moving that yardstick a little bit further.
Reminds me of the virtual open for us. We just every year we want to keep doing it and we want to make it better and bigger.
And we set little goals. Ooh. How can we do it? How can we, from a technological standpoint, from a promotional standpoint, how can we make it bigger?
Right.
And you do. So once you achieve a goal, set another one, keep it rolling.
Love it.
Keep it rolling.
There you go. Right
and you will be in such a rhythm of goal setting and goal achieving that you'll just it'll become home base. And then all of a sudden you'll look back and you start to realize how much you've really done and how much better you've gotten.
Right.
It's all about not being stagnant.
There you go. That's
even if your goal is having more fun on the golf course, find ways to do it. Playing with new people, whatever it may be. And then just set more goals for it. Maybe traveling and trying new golf courses, which is a big thing that we're excited to do this year. So
new equipment even makes it more fun.
Sure.
You get your first rangefinder or GPS shot scope watch or something.
Yeah.
Every little bit will help.
It all helps. All right. So that's everything we have.
That's it, huh? Yeah.
I can't even tell you how much
we could talk for hours.
I'm amped and continue to be just to being in this space.
You know how much furniture we have to put up today?
Yeah.
You ready for that?
We've got a lot of stuff. I'm looking around the room and there's a circular saw in here. There's a couch in a box.
There's a wire hanging down in the middle of the room.
There is work to be done around here, but that is, like I said, it's also fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to see as we talk about, even with the small goals, just seeing things like when the paint went up, when the floors went in, it started to look like a space. That's what really kept us motivated because there was a lot of work to be done. There's still more to be done, but when these TVs started going up on the wall and it just starting to get that feel that we've always wanted of just being a great golf hangout location.
Well, my wife I think I've been here every day for the last 2 weeks. It's just, fortunate to have the office right near my home. But I haven't been dreading it. I haven't been like, oh, I got to carry. It's been exciting.
It's exciting.
You know, that's what's been amping me up to get it here because, again, we set the goal to get it up and going.
Right.
So it's been motivating.
And look, at the end of the day, we do this because we love golf when it comes to goals. So it should be exciting when you set these goals.
100%.
So enjoy them. Guys, if you have anything else to add to the conversation, make sure you post them in the comments. You can also tweet at us at Golficity. You can DM us or you can email us podcast@golficity.com. We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So keep those coming and we'll talk more about goals as we roll into it. But stay tuned. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, make sure you subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts because we have been lining up this month. And Mike, I've got some really great stuff coming. We've got some really cool episodes from being down at the PGA show and the plans that we have to some really great guests. We want to bring more guests on the show in 2020. Mm-hmm. We want to bring in some more different insights and opinions. We've got some really cool ones lined up. Just confirmed 2 more guests for this month.
Yes.
So make sure you guys don't miss that by subscribing. And you know, on YouTube as well, you can subscribe there if you want to physically watch the show. We've been putting the video piece on there as well. So thank you all for coming along on this ride with us.
This TV will be working next time.
Next time, it won't just be a big black square. We'll have something up there for you. So we'll see everybody again next week.